Welcome to The Explainer, where we take on complex topics and turn them into clear, actionable insights.
So today we're going to go on a bit of a journey, a founder's journey really, through the wild world of AI development. We'll cover the magic of vibe coding, how to pick your AI teammates, and then we'll get into the tough stuff, the hidden costs and the vendor lock-in trap. We'll wrap it all up with a strategic playbook you can actually use. We're going to look at the hype, the dangers, and most importantly, how you can get through it all to build something that actually lasts.
All right, let's kick things off. Section 1, the magic of vibe coding. Our journey starts right here with this incredible, almost magical promise that AI can turn anyone into a developer. I mean, this is an idea that's completely changing how we think about building software right from scratch.
And this quote, this really just captures that dream perfectly, doesn't it? You've got a reporter from PC Mag, zero programming skills, and she builds a fully functional real estate website in just a couple of days. I mean, that's the new reality we're talking about for creators and founders.
And this whole concept has a name, vibe coding. It's exactly what it sounds like. You just describe the vibe, right? You explain what you want to build in plain English, and the AI just takes care of all the complicated code in the background. It's all about translating your ideas directly into actual working software.
Okay, so Section 2, picking your AI teammate. Because all this magic isn't free. It requires you to make some choices. You have to pick your tools. And let me tell you, the landscape of AI providers and coding assistants, it's shifting so fast. So let's take a look at who the key players are right now.
First up, you got to choose your main API provider. And check this out. As of 2025, there has been a huge shakeup. Anthropic, the folks behind Claude, has actually, pretty surprisingly, taken the lead in the enterprise market. They've pushed OpenAI out of that top spot. It just goes to show you how fast things can change around here. Now, when you get down to the coding tools your team is going to use day in and day out, it's not as simple as just picking the best one. You've really got to look at the trade-offs. So, for example, something like multimodal support, which you see in a tool like Cursor, that gives you a ton of flexibility. Then there's the context window, super important. A bigger one like you get with Cursor and Claude Code means the AI can understand way more of your code base at once. These are the little details that are going to have a huge impact on your team's workflow and ultimately your product's future.
Okay, so you've picked your tools, your team is flying, building things at a crazy pace. It feels great, right? Well, this is where our journey takes a sharp turn. Let's talk about Section 3, the hidden cost of AI. This is where we get into the tough reality behind all the hype.
So here's the thing you hear from founders and developers all the time. AI tools are absolutely fantastic for getting you, say, 90% of the way there. They're amazing at spitting out all that boring boilerplate code, building user interfaces, and hooking up basic functions at lightning speed.
But that last 10%, that's everything. That final stretch, that gap between a cool-looking demo and a product that's actually ready to launch and scale, that's where all the really painful challenges are hiding. And we're not talking about just writing better prompts here. This is where real, serious engineering has to come in.
And this quote from a user on Reddit, man, it just illustrates the core problem so perfectly. A pretty house with no plumbing. That's it, right there. See, the AI is optimized for one thing, getting code out the door fast. It's not thinking about creating a stable, scalable architecture for the long haul. It builds a beautiful facade, sure, but without that solid foundation, it really is just a house of cards.
Okay, let's put a real number on this because it's not just about frustration. For a pretty typical 10-person startup, right? You add up the subscriptions for your coding tools, you throw in even moderate API usage for some customer-facing feature, and your monthly bill can easily hit $1,200. And believe me, that's just the starting point.
And here's the really crucial point. Those subscription fees, they're only part of the story. It's the hidden costs that'll get you. When you factor in all the extra time your senior developers have to spend just reviewing the AI-generated code, plus the time for onboarding and training, you're easily adding another 20 to 30% on top of your total spend. That's the real cost of ownership.
And all of this leads directly to another major strategic challenge. Let's get into Section 4, the vendor lock-in trap. This is the very real risk of getting stuck with one AI provider where you basically can't switch without paying a massive price.
It's pretty simple, really. The deeper your product gets tied into one specific model's little quirks and behaviors, the harder it is to get out. This is especially true when you start building what are called agentic workflows.
Think of an AI that's not just writing code, but it's also testing it, deploying it all in this complex multi-step process. Migrating a simple API call might take your team a week, but trying to untangle one of those deeply embedded agentic systems, we're talking months of work.
So what does this all mean for you? It means your AI strategy has to change as your company grows. When you're just starting out, before you have product market fit, speed is the only thing that matters. So yeah, go all in on one provider and just ship as fast as you can. But the moment you have a real, growing business on your hands, you have to shift your thinking. Your new priority becomes long-term flexibility. You've got to start building in what we call abstraction layers, basically ways to make it easier to swap out providers later on.
And that brings us to our final section, the culmination of this whole journey. Section 5, your strategic AI playbook. This is all that hard-won wisdom, everything we've talked about, distilled down into an actionable playbook for any founder who wants to use AI without, getting burned.
All right, let's break this down into your key takeaways. First things first, pilot a couple of different vendors before you commit to just one. Use AI for what it's truly great at. That's boilerplate code, not your core novel architecture. Super important, budget that extra 20 to 30% for hidden costs like code review. And remember the two-stage strategy. Speed is your priority before product market fit. Then you build for portability after product market fit. In your contracts, you have to insist on data portability and owning your source code. And maybe the biggest takeaway of all, AI is an incredible tool for leveling up junior developers, but that senior review, it's absolutely critical.
So at the end of the day, it comes down to this. AI gives you just unprecedented speed. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to use it to build a rocket ship? Or are you just building a really beautiful house of cards? These tools are unbelievably powerful, but how you use them, the strategy you bring, the oversight, the foresight, that's what's going to determine whether you build something that lasts or something that just collapses under its own weight. The choice really is yours.